Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Apocalypse, the Guild Raid Grizzly Bairs style. And the best way to sum this raid up from my point of view is with the following clip. Oh, look at the little ducky, so serene, so calm atop the water, nary a problem in the world. Of course, what was actually going on behind the scenes in officers' chat was utter and total chaos. We had spreadsheets coming out of our ears. I simmed more things than I can possibly count. I had too many chat rooms to even fit on my screen, and don't start me on time zones because it still gives me a headache just thinking about it. And you know what? It was absolutely fantastic. But why are we starting at the end? To tell a good story, you should start at the beginning or somewhere in the middle. Let's go back a bit. So, here we go, level 17. Swag points for grabs on a Vindy, last fight on the Monday, no refills. Our target had been level 16. We decided to time that for the Sunday prime time when the Euro Bears and the Stateside Bears are all awake and hungry. We chose that point as it gave us 2 full energy attempts on 16, the Sunday, and if we failed, a chance on the Monday after we reviewed tactics carefully. We didn't need the Monday. What we did need though was a blooming calculator. Honestly, trying to work out when to kill 16 when it became apparent it would not be a problem was like advanced level quantum physics to a bunch of bleary-eyed strung out officer bears. We finally got there, having balanced the natural regen, which is 12.5 hours, so that we're full, with the time zone crossover, which is potentially 13 hours, which would be 2 natural regen cycles plus an hour left to kill it, which would have put the US bears at deep hibernation stage, which is no good, while also positioning the final fight with just enough raid regen before the timer was up and regen stopped, just in case we got in trouble. The end result? Yeah, we should have killed it already. And so, in the space of 26 minutes, we announced a complete U-turn from, hey guys, don't kill it, we need to drag it out, to, oh my god, kill it now with fire. Still, that put us in a good position for an attempt on 17. 3 full cycles meant we were full. We'd done the best that we could with the time zones, scheduling it for about Euro lunchtime with East Coast an hour away, and we still had enough time on the clock for a 4-hour natural regen during the 6-hour raid. The stage was set for 17. We played it in a similar way to 16, everyone simmed with help where needed, against 17 using different siege fortresses. We collected this data on a spreadsheet and identified the 2 primary siege structure pairs. This allowed us to run a primary siege pair where most people did well for the first hour and then swap to a second pair, repeating as necessary throughout the 6 hours of the raid. Lots of communication reminders during the run-up as you'd expect, and then we waited as the final regen cycle ticked down. As soon as that timer ticks over, then it's instant communication out to all of our 3 main chat rooms, which is announcements, the cave where we have friends as well as bears, as well as our kind of cub guilds and whatnot for our upcoming and developing decks, and the war room, which is the most important room in this kind of environment, which is dedicated to guild wars, raids and so on and so forth. Get those announcements out, instantly go into my first fight, which I just lose horribly. That's the magnificence of this random boss. I had a 61% deck, I averaged just over 50 I think, maybe 55. Pork on the other hand had a 50% deck and was averaging at 80, so he must have stolen my my RNG for this run. But hey ho, that's the way it goes. Get that energy out of the way so that it starts regenning, put communication into the in-game. Get around that, just saying that group 1 on the double spores, go ahead and dump group 2. Just be using 2 hits if you're active so that you can regen ready for the next structure swap in an hour's time. Go ahead and play my second fight. I think I'll win this one. Just really depends on what the drops are, what your hand is, and just a bit of luck on things like the jam up. We're all playing very short decks, we're free to play, so the natural progression was Barracus and short decks with Strike, as I'm sure many of you are aware. Lots of jams in there as well, just to stop those sort of pesky cards coming out. But that kind of leads me to the raid. The raid itself, how we at Grizzly Bairs found it, and I have to say we thoroughly enjoyed it. I understand the frustrations at the higher end of the guilds in Tyrant Unleashed, the fact that you had to war bond so much, be it through gifting an individual with a high deck rate or by all combining massive amounts of refills just to get anywhere near the end level game is just not a good business model in our mind. We don't think that that's the right way that the devs should be doing it, and they desperately need to tweak it for the next raid. So the higher tier guilds that sort of set their sights on that sort of level, yeah, I can really understand the frustrations. Likewise, the lower tier guilds who just hit that brick wall so early and basically had nothing to do for a day and a half. That's not a great way to do it either. There needed to be an easier progression to a certain point, timed well with guild strength and level. So yeah, it needs tweaking top and bottom, but I have to say, being in the middle and just setting your sights on level 16 for that reward and actually going through that, powering through that and taking on level 17, there was no frustrations, there was no stress. It was a very enjoyable experience for the entire guild. We all learnt to sim, we all banded together, everybody wanted to make that little step further forward, and it was a great it was just a great mechanic. I think it's better than the War Metal Tyrant raids. I think just the way it combines all your guild members together, the amount of communication it needs, fantastic, really good. Just sort out the top and bottom because this can't be such a large money grab in the future. So getting back to the raid in hand, you can see me picking up another win. What's interesting about the strategy that we employed using the dual spores up front for the majority of players and then switching to the spore and the mortar an hour in, that was the typical setup. As you can see here, the burst damage that you get from that initial group, which lasts over the course of an hour. Then you can see that we do make the switch to the spore and the mortar an hour into the actual raid, and that kind of gives them another initial burst because there's a few bears that are holding back with full energy, just having used the 2 hits, that can come in with their preferred structures. We make another switch back, which again gives you that kind of burst just to go over the final hurdle. I am certainly not holding back 1 hit towards the end there. That's definitely not something that I would do. I wouldn't be that much of a cheeky bear. I'm not holding 1 hit until it hits below 100 to take that headshot at all. Just happens that I did pick up the headshot and also picked up the highest local damage, I believe, on the scoreboard after taking the challenge on from Warrocks, a fellow bear who kind of called me out in chat and said come at me, which I did. So that ends level 17. I do hope that that was of some use to guilds, particularly the lower guilds, free-to-play guilds that are looking to break into higher levels. That's the kind of communication and organisation that went on behind the scenes at Bears. Like I say, for the 3 channels that most people saw, it was quite calm, it was quite organised, it was absolute chaos going on in the officers' chat. We were panic strategizing every time something came up. I mean, we know a lot more about raids now and we'll be able to plan a lot better going forward, so it'll be a smoother run through. But all guilds were learning through this first sort of implementation of the raids, and as new information was coming to light, new sims were being performed, new strategies and tactics put into place. So that's how we did it. Hopefully you may take something away from this video if you're sort of a lower level guild or top 100, top 200, something like that. Take away the communication. Communication is always everything. And if you did, then I'd really appreciate a like. It kind of gives me the motivation to continue making videos. If you really liked what you saw, then do subscribe and get notified as I push more videos up to YouTube. Thank you for watching. This is Harlequin D signing out.